There's a huge patch of floating plastic in the middle of the ocean called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. That is what it looks like. It looks like a continent. This is what happens when you throw your Coke bottle out of the window, or you throw your Gala bottle, or you don't separate your rubbish. This is what happens. And why does it matter? It matters because the ocean surface distributes heat around the world, and it has a profound effect on the world's climate. What can we do? Slide 14. It is great to have here so many policymakers, senators, governors, heads of government, and also our traditional rulers who are incredibly important in this. We have to recruit more advocates. We have to recruit more advocates. We have to educate people, which is what we're doing here today. Rwanda has banned plastic bags since 2008. I remember walking in, I was doing some work in Rwanda post-conflict in the sort of 2000s, about 2007, 2008. And I remember arriving at the airport one day, and I had bought some duty-free, which was in my, as you do, you've walked through, you've bought duty-free. And the man literally said to me, "No, madam, you have to give me that plastic bag. We are not going to allow them in this country." That is high-level policy decision-making to save a nation. They've banned it. The right government policies, thank you. The right government policies can contribute to encouraging an investment in green projects such as clean technologies, along with the innovation entrepreneurship that is associated with it. We can produce energy from waste. I note the incredibly commendable action of the governor, His Excellency the Governor, as I saw a couple of weeks ago that there are plans to generate electricity here in Ogun State from sawdust. I really must say to you, sir, having driven through here today, that half of Lagos is going to move to Ogun soon, because they'll find that it's a greener and a more environmentally friendly place to live. Senator Tinubu glares at me. What else can we do? We can have penalties and rewards. In some countries, the punishment for environmental violation is sufficient to act as a deterrent. In Cameroon recently, something we might not consider environmental degradation, but which absolutely is. As an animal lover, I just saw those piles of elephant tusks being burned just the other day, and it just literally broke my heart. But in Cameroon recently, a poacher received a 2-year sentence and a fine for killing 19 elephants in violation of the law. Not enough, but at least it's a start. So what can you do? We know what Her Excellency Mrs. Amosun's doing. We know what the governor's doing. What can you, the kids up there, what can all of us do? We can reduce waste, we can reuse, and we can recycle. We've talked about littering, we've talked about going paperless, she hides her bits of paper. And we've talked about potentially things that are of huge environmental, harm potentially. Don't just buy plastic things, don't use plastic cups at parties, don't use paper plastic things, borrow, use degradable products, properly degradable products. Let's reuse things. And then how do we convert our waste to wealth? I came today and my bag is over there, but I've received so many compliments for this handbag over the last couple of years. And I tell people that, number one, I don't necessarily buy designer bags because I'm not really that sort of a person, and I'm an impoverished doctor anyway. But that I've worked with young women, particularly in post-genocide Rwanda, who we've taught how to make handbags and how to make beaded jewelry and how to make conference bags. Your next conference, whichever governors are here today, quick point of action, next conference, use some reusable bag. Don't have a horrible plastic made in China bag for your conference bag. That was a plug. But I go back to my handbag, which is made out of beads. And it's made out of plastic beads. And from London to Paris to Morocco to New York, everywhere somebody sees me carrying that bag, they're like, "Oh my goodness, your bag is so beautiful." So I'm like, Where did you get it? Well, it's a little designer that I know, it's totally couture. Really? Yeah. How much? So that's where you sort of think that only about $100. Thank you. Here it is. Made out of recyclable material, beads of plastic. Beads of plastic. Who needs a Chanel handbag? Give us the money so we can put kids to school. But we worked with a whole group of young people, and one of my favorite stories is a young lady called Valentina, who's a sex worker that I found. In Nigeria they would call people prostitutes. I don't like that term. She was a genocide orphan. Her parents had died when she was very young, and she had been reduced to basically selling her body to survive. 3 of her children had died of AIDS. She was left with 2 when I found her on the streets of Kigali one day. She had just been beaten. I usually try not to get too direct level involved if I'm inter-country at a top-down policy level, because I would just go to my hotel room and cry for the next 3 days. But I couldn't help it. She had the most beautiful little baby, and we needed to do something. What is exciting about Valentina's story is that she was empowered and she was taught how to turn not only the waste of her life into wealth, but she was empowered and taught how to turn the waste around her into wealth, into bags, into jewelry. She started, at that point I was working with the Minister of Health in Rwanda on maternal and child health issues, and I was chairing their conferences on maternal and child health for 5 years. So Valentina and her team of former sex workers got the contract to make the conference bags. And one of the most beautiful parts of the story is that there's a Serena Hotel, and those of you who've ever been to Rwanda will know it, a Serena Hotel in Kigali where the security guards used to chase her out. Because she was there, she was a lady of the night. And that's what you do, they chase them away. But a year later, Valentina was coming into that hotel to sell jewelry, to sell bags, and as she walked through the door, they greeted her and called her Madame. How do you turn waste into Madame status? So, I'm going to start to wrap up so we can chat. There's a lot going on in Nigeria. There's WeCycle, which is a wonderful green entrepreneurship program that I'm sure you've all heard about, and I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to add a fourth thing to my 3 R's, and I'm going to add radical invention and innovation. I'm also going to do another show and tell. I like show and tell. This. I'm also hot. But this is another thing that has been taken from biodegradable products and from waste products, this from Fiji, and by women has been converted into a thing of incredible beauty. We've taught women how to do this, and they're making money from it. How do we do this, Your Excellency, in Abeokuta? That's the next chapter. We'll discuss that after tea. But there's so much innovation up there. There's so much that we can do. And having covered the magnitude of environmental challenge before us and steps that government can take and opportunities that we as individuals and groups and NGOs can pursue, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. I'm utterly convinced of the importance and the urgency of protecting our environment and better managing the waste that we all generate. And I trust that you all are too, because you're here today. I'm passionately committed to sustainable development in its wider sense, and I trust that we've enlisted your support, those of you who were not convinced before you arrived. I'm convicted of my own contribution to the environmental challenges and becoming a part of the solution, and I hope you all feel likewise. And I'm confident that amongst us here today, we have creative ideas and courageous conceptions to meet the environmental challenges that we all face. It is clear that within waste lies an opportunity, because within every crisis there is an opportunity. An opportunity to put waste to work and to generate wealth for Ogun State, for Nigeria, and to save the planet, really in its entirety. So, in the words of one of Africa's greatest visionaries, you're never too young to lead. Never doubt your capacity, I say to the young people. So with that, I leave my final words to the youth gathered here today. You young people, you're not tomorrow. Everyone always says you're tomorrow's leaders. You're not tomorrow, you're today, you're here, and you're right now.